So I know you can see Dave on the screen and there's a presentation in front of you, but I think my mic is hot. And so let me just set the stage for what we're going to listen to. It's been a while since Dave and I had a chance to communicate. And really, when there's nothing to say, we're not one of those guys that thinks we need to be out there every day. But when there is, then it's time to kind of rally together. So Dave came across some scientific reinforcement, shall we say, of a position that Dave brought to our attention last year, including images and documentation to support his said position. So, having said that, he reached out to me with it today to see, hey, look what the Planck Institute is pushing out there. And remember what we did last year when we did the 4 period episode sessions with Dave? Here was session number 3. So, with that, I want to turn it back over to Dave to say, why are we here? And then to kind of put a na to the rest of you out there that said, look, Dave told us this last year and even brought illustrations from his exchange with Kim Jim about this very topic. So, Dave, remind us all why we're here today.
Well, just wanted to catch up a little bit. Lowell kindly cleaned up the intro to episode number 3 of the 4-part series. And in that series, I briefly shared some of my physics equations and formulas and some of my technology that described the annealing of light to sound and creating images that can be sent. Now, this is far, far in advance of where Planck Institute is right now. But, you know, SciTech Daily is another one of those mainstream news pop-ups. And of the 4 or 5 resources I look at daily from 3 a.m. until 4, just for events and news, I came across the SciTech Daily blurb. And, you know, they're as bad as it gets. They're worse than Newsweek. And, like, Newsweek will put stuff up that just is completely erroneous. And, you know, I've written all their chief editors, and none of them get back to me because they're all idiots. So the Planck Institute, which is what I was talking about in the past with everybody, is that, you know, the U.S. government, black ops, and all of these should be illegal but illicit institutions that call themselves scientific communities and scientific institutions. There's some good people and some good things that come out of modern science. Of the 11 branches of physics, I'm very familiar with 6. And, you know, when I started opening my mouth at the first university where I was studying astrophysics and mathematics, it got to the point where the teacher realized that I should probably finish my thesis someplace else, and I did. I finished it off at Cornell, but in gravitation. But the really interesting thing about what the Planck Institute's doing is, just like the U.S. government, just like Skunk Works and everybody else, they don't know what's going on with our friends above. So while they produce all these bogus shows on mainstream media about Congress and the Senate debating what a tic tac is, they're really actually looking at shows like James Gilliland. They're looking at shows like Vivian Chavez. They're looking at shows like Lowell's, trying to figure out what the hell's going on, because they all live in a fear box. And I've discussed that in the past, so let's not digress. So quantum leap, innovative breakthrough in entangling light and sound. Well, gee, who'd you guys hear that from first? And for those of you that are scientists, earth scientists that don't have a degree, I laud you, because having a degree doesn't mean shit when you have intuitive science abilities. When you have intuitive science abilities, then you don't need a university degree. So it says a new quantum entanglement approach by Max Planck Institute scientists uses Brillouin scattering to link photons with acoustic phonons, enhancing stability and operating at higher temperatures. Well, gee, remember, if you guys do, I put up this third part of the 4-part series about tech from our friends from Taurus. And they were talking about heating light and heating sound before you anneal it to light. And so this is obvious, you know, is it plagiarism? I don't know, probably. but they don't know what's going on. So in order for them to have new ideas, they have to watch other people's programs about communicating with people from other worlds in order to get new ideas, because they're just running out of ideas. They'll never get it right. They'll get some interesting results, but they won't get it right. And it'll take them way too long to get it right. And to get it right, mainstream science needs to adapt to higher theorem of particles. Stop quantizing things, saying that everything is a particle, but realize that time, light, gravity, and sound, which is the basis of my 4-part series, are all particles. Time is a particle. So if Max Planck wants to get it right, then 100% of their scientists need to come to the agreement that time is a particle in the form of a chronoton. So in order to explore the different dimensions of higher science, of celestial science, they have to be able to step out of the box, and they never will. And this is the downfall of them. This is why all the governments and all of the evil people and all the evil institutions are all going to be 6 feet under, because they'll never embrace celestial science and celestial metaphysics and help from our friends. So all they can do is listen to us. All they can do is mimic us and go, "Oh, gee, look, this Dave Wallace guy's come up with this stuff. Well, let's make it look official because it's from the Max Planck Institute." You know, so optoacoustic entanglement. That's their flashy name for combining light photons with sound phonons, and they're not quite there. It's going to take them many, many years of discipline, meditation, and opening their heart up to the sky. And, you know, if the Planck Institute's going to do that, great. One of the things mainstream science is really good at is not giving credit to where things come from. Ramanujan, the incredible savant from India, who back in the 1920s and 30s created so many amazing equations in physics that they finally awarded him a doctorate. And he was never university trained. He had figured it all out on his own because he had been looking at some of that research and it fascinated him. So there's a lot of people that know what's going on in the world of physics, terrestrial stuff, and celestial stuff, that you don't have to worry about getting credit. So I'm not screaming for credit. I'm just calling bullshit. And, you know, nobody at the Planck Institute wants to talk to me. Funny enough, I am sending them an email with the link to the third of the 4-part series. And I'll be sending it to the scientific department that's done this. And then I'm going to ask them to call me up and explain themselves to me, only for fun. And I don't really give a shit if they want to say that they came up with it. It's actually celestial technology that mankind will never figure out, especially coming from a place like the Planck Institute. So there's nothing to worry about. On a lighter note, time, light, gravity, and sound has just been an amazing way for me to view the universe, because I like answers. And we can all kumbaya our way through life and meditate and just say, "Oh yeah, I'm spiritual," or you can just pick one or two things and try and be really good at it. I'm really good at math theoretician work and higher mathematics and higher algebra. There's a lot of changes in aerospace right now, and I did some channeling when I was on Vivian Chavez' show, and it was interesting because the channeling I did with Vivian, Kim Jim came through and said, "Oh, Elon Musk is retiring." And so she probably got like 79 or 105 comments. And I'm sure some of them went, "He's not retiring. Who are you? What, you pretend now you know Elon, blah, blah, blah." And it's like, I don't give a shit about anything. I was Kim Jim talking through me. And as it turns out, well, gee, what do you think's happening? He's going to go to work for Trump in the U.S. government. So all these things are being called out and played out by our friends from above. I'm just a channel. I'm just one of many channels. And you either love this swarthy face or you don't. And if you don't, just don't look and just listen, because I'm not in it for anything. I still don't make any money off of any of my contact experience, as I've been forbidden to do so. For all the human beings that are wondering what's going on, you guys are here for the right reason. Like so many of the images, fourth dimensional spheres, images of people from other worlds that we've shared. whether it was on, Lowell Show or Vivian's or Becca B or Rob Potter. It's all stuff that we share because that's what they ask us to do. It's for you guys who already don't need convincing. If anybody out there is going, this is all bullshit, well, who gives a hell? Because we're not reaching out to you. I don't give a shit at what level of ascension you're in. Let's go back to that other picture, the blue one. So that showed up on my phone. I went to, if you guys have been on Hermosa Fields forever, my YouTube channel, I put up some really good videos of ships that came down to visit me because I went on a meditation journey for 4 days in the Palm Desert, and on a couple of the nights I rented a really nice little house with a saltwater swimming pool, and they came and visited every night, different ships, and it was my first time ever being spoken to by an emissary from Vega. That was pretty interesting. I found out a lot. But this image showed up on my phone, and it was to prepare me for uh, some of the realizations about humanity. You guys just look at that image, maybe screenshot it, and then just look at it for a while and see what it does for you. Let's go to the next one, Lowell. Yeah, there you go. So there's I think a bigger one of that. And you can see the little ship to the right, and see that one with the. No, let's go the other way because there's two images of that. There you go. All right, see the top. All right, so this is a pyramid shaped ship. You can clearly see the green light. And then the bottom there's far left there's a lavender light, a pinky red light, a green light, and then a big pink white light. It has very distinct light features on the bottom. It's cone shaped or pyramid shaped. Now let's go back to the other one again. You've skipped ahead. There you go. So at the very top of the ship, it emanates a very powerful green light and bends the light down over the ship so you can see it. All right. So they're bending light. All right. Just by them, the very nature of this type of ship appearing to me, they are showing me that they have encapsulated the physics required to bend light easily. So let's go on. Let's move to another ship. There you go. This is a really interesting one. I had a few comments on my channel from this one astute follower who said, "Oh, it's a helicopter. It's a good thing it's not a helicopter. Helicopter." Well, there's no sound of a helicopter as I'm filming it fly overhead. Gee, and then it turned into a figure eight, the infinity symbol, and it went from several lights to these two big lights. Let's go to the next one. I see there's a close up of it. Does that look like a helicopter to you, Lowell?
Negative. They
Exactly.
wouldn't
And
have
then,
lights like that, and it wouldn't glow like that, and it wouldn't have multiple colors like that.
right, as you can see, there's a distinct V shape in
Yes.
the center of it. There's glowing bright green, and that's coming down from the top. So it's real fascinating technology. And they're just showing me these things. And I think part of the message that I received there was to prep me for what I found out later. So this was a month ago. I took 4 days off and went down to the Palm Desert to communicate with our friends because there's too much interference and distraction here in Los Angeles. And so uh, I received some more information last week, and I've communicated with Vivian and with Chantal, and it's private stuff. So I'm not going to share it here, but they also received the same message, and it's because they've set some of us up uh, with a continuous communication loop. And I don't necessarily have that with you because you're an inner earth guy. But the people that have been contacted, the humans that have been contacted by our friends, we're all connected. And so they sensed it. And so when I called up, it kind of completed the thought process. So interesting how the Max Planck Institute is trying to pull this with their calling it their science. They'll never get it. And time is a particle. So if you look at time like gravity and sound as a particle, you'll understand why everything works together the way it does. And then the dimensionality of the space, which exists in between chronoton, graviton, photino, and or a phonon and a frequency from a sound particle. If you look at the space in between those four particles, There is an annealing substance that is found all throughout the universe. It's a type of permanent electromagnetism, but it works like a gelatine plasma, which holds each particle together. It's malleable, but it's also invisible. It can be formed and shaped, but it's also a type of plasma that cannot be formed and shaped. So when people understand that the four main attributes of existence in this reality is time, light, gravity, and sound, not matter, energy, and space, which is the relativistic view from Einstein's equation of relativity, and then all those other scientists came in and said no, everything is quantized to a particle. That's all bullshit. It's space, energy, and matter, or energy, matter, and space and time from the grand unified theory is the end result of time, light, gravity, and sound. Those things all existed since the very beginning of existence, and are the reason why everything exists the way it does now. One of the other things that I'm going to mention, I'm going to drop this bomb on you, is that uh, we're not stuck in a time loop, okay? Because our existence isn't analogous to past experience and future experience. You can exist outside of the past and the future if you concentrate on that. So one of the higher level of meditation for myself is to lift myself away from this reality so that I have complete clarity when I'm thinking, and I don't have to worry about having a ship come down anymore. I can just go up to them. And so you're not stuck in a time loop, though you're seeing a lot of things on mainstream media and lots of funny science channels on YouTube that talk about the Matrix or a glitch in the Matrix or we're in a Matrix. You kind of have to let all that go, because the only truth of existence that is going to enable you to understand the dimensionality of this reality, all science, all bioscience, everything, if you want to know everything, then let go of the need to control your thoughts. Don't direct your beam at one thing, look at everything. Pull yourself away from this reality and stare at it from the heavens. And then you just become a lot more resolute in the mission of your path. So I no longer need to go on board a ship to sit down with tutoring. I don't need to have physical contact. I just lift myself up off the earth and I'm there in their ship and they tell me where to go. And, I still channel Kim Jim all the time. He's less busy. And then the work I was doing with the Air Force and the Pentagon about uh, ethics in space has been put forward. They are rewriting a new ethics program, and interestingly enough, Elon Musk and Trump have been discussing ethics, because in order for us to move forward in space in peace, then we're not going to do what we did in the South Pole, which is to divvy things up to do our secret experimentation with. It's actually going to just let people go anywhere they want to go. And I've noticed that there's been some mainstream articles about the pollution that would be generated from the ISS should they decide to crash it over the Chilean coast. And there's starting to be some movement within the aerospace community about the toxins from the ISS being dropped. And just prayers out, by the way, everyone, to Suni Williams. Suni's a really lovely doctor, physicist who went to space, but she got caught up in that Boeing debacle with a capsule that was attached to the ISS for, God, 3 months, 3.5 months. There's some concerns about Suni's health, and I've spoken to some people that know her directly, and Suni's always been very thin, and she had to put on weight in order to meet the requirements of the astronaut program. But she's always been a very thin person. But there's been some private talk about whether or not the radiation shielding in the capsule was adequate for a long-term deployment and long-term docking maneuvers, LTDM. And so we're not sure that that capsule should have been up there for more than 3 weeks with cohabitants. And what I found out after talking to some friends at SpaceX and Vandenberg is that they were advised to stay within their their cosmonaut or astronaut suits, and it's almost impossible to stay in one of those things for 3 months. The ones that were supplied by NASA are heavy and bulky, and they have a lot of metal rims, and they're clunky and they hurt. You get pinched sleeping in them. That's why SpaceX spacesuits are so great. But again, it's all down to shielding. And the reason they put them in big Apollo 7 style clunky, funky suits is because it was in a goddamn capsule designed by Boeing, which is a company that's falling apart at the seams anyways over the 777X airplane and also laying off 17,000 employees. And this is what you get when you go DEI and hire a bunch of people that shouldn't have been hired because they've lost control of their company and they're falling apart. It's part of the natural order because I think we're going to see a lot more work from SpaceX sort of dominating the US market. Chinese government right now is trying to emulate the Dragon recovery system and how he drops his capsules upright. And it's all a hoo-ha. Remember that none of this stuff matters when you listen to Mother Earth.
Right.
Right. And that's the
Yeah.
only thing that's impossible.
She's got her own cycle going
It's
on,
possible. Yeah.
regardless of what everybody else is busy with. But I
Yeah.
do, before we finish, I want to remind people that the point of all this today was to go back to kind of illustrate CLPT and CLPF, what Dave was illustrating for us. So, as Dave said, I reproduced that particular episode, so it is clean, and I point all of you to go back and listen to it again. And so now it'll make a little bit more sense about why what Planck put out in that documentation yesterday was so relevant to what Dave had illustrated for us last June.
Yeah.
So it's just one more validation of thanks, Dave, for sharing what you've been shared and
Right.
getting us ready for the vibrations that we all ought to be readying ourselves for anyway.
Right. Thank you, Lowell. It's and it's like I guess at the beginning of Star Chat when we did that podcast a year and a half ago, I always told people, you know, when I was talking about my experience, I'm nonchalant about my association with them because they're in my life every day. It's just like, you know, having Aunt Louise move into the granny flat behind your house. It's just, there's nothing you can fucking do about it. And so I'm not impressed, nor am I trying to impress you. They've become very close family members who are allowed in. Anytime they want to come in, they can talk to me. Anytime they want to come in the house, they're welcome and they know they're safe. And I keep telling people, all you got to do is look up at the sky and pour your heart out. If you want the same experience, believe me, it's worth it because it separates me immediately from all the evil regimes that exist in this reality.
Yeah.
So when they handed me the science, they taught me physics with CLPT, with the continuous light pulse technology, and with CLPF, the continuous light pulse flashing. They did that to me.
Frequencies and transmissions.
They gave me every equation that was incorporated into my relationship with them so that when I started to bring subjects up, they would unfold and decollapse in my mind so I could read them in the Victorian handwritten form. So it's, you know, they did it for me. So they gave me the flashes, the millions of light flashes, and then they sit, in doing so, set my mind up to let those electrochemicals that are generated by a light flash go to my occipital lobe, pass through my parietal lobe, and then my brain was hardwired to receive the information. They did all of that for me. So if you want the same experience, if you want something that's going to protect you from the system, get you out of the matrix, and allow you to communicate with star people, just follow the program. And
Right.
don't worry about what people believe. I don't give a shit if anybody believes me because it's my life and my life's beautiful. And I'm just trying to be an open, honest person about what's happened. And so as the years progress and as we do different things, whatever we're doing, I just send lots of compassion and hope for humanity. Anybody that's tuning into this, if you don't know what's going on, take a deep breath and relax. Nobody does. And you just enjoy your life and be a good person and try not to pollute too much. That's it. You know, be loving and be kind. There's no other thing that's asked of us as a species. Just be loving and kind. And once you do that, then nothing bad ever happens across the entire planet. Right?
Right.
Well, peace, Lowell. This has been really bitching to hook up. It's been a few
You
months,
too.
huh? we both been very busy, and I'm very busy too. It's unlikely that I'll be on for a little while, but it's been nice to talk about, you know, perhaps Max Planck's people are on the 100th monkey theory. I can't really call out plagiarism because maybe somebody, another troop from Vega or from, Capricorn went down and talked to them.
That very phrase came into my head today, the 100 monkey thing. And
Right?
it made me think, well, Lowell and Dave, they must have been like monkey 38 and 39. They were just ahead of the loop. That's
Yeah,
all.
it's a fucking big line of monkeys. I mean,
Yeah.
so we're either sitting in a field, and this is the hard thing, is they can't get you, me, and everyone from the Max Planck Institute and all of your listeners to all line up in the same field so they can sit there with a giant ship and go beep boop 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 with all the lights. There's no way they can do
Right.
that. So it's done on an
Right.
individual basis, folks. But
Correct.
open this up. There's there's no mystery. So you don't need,
Yeah.
Elizondo or Congress or anybody. You don't need anybody to help you find the path. You're on it. You're on it.
I
Just look around.
can't emphasize enough that once your vibration reaches the level of all that other stuff going on, nothing else matters. Nothing else can get in the way of that, and no one can stop you from
Yeah,
having multidimensional experiences.
you don't have to worry about having the right vibration or frequency. You just need to put it right there first,
Yep.
and feel good. Love life, love yourself, love your neighbors, and be a good person. And then all of a sudden you connect with Mama Earth. So
Yeah.
the vibration has always been there. It's just that you wake up to it, and then you ride that frequency like I ride a wave down at the beach, right?
Awesome. All right.
All
Well,
right,
here's a good
peace
place to
up.
wrap, right?
Yeah, man, that's good.
All right.
I'll give you a call probably in a couple hours. I got to jump out and do some stuff here
Yeah.
at the bakery. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and make sure you tell your son I said hi, and I hope he and his wife are doing well.